Delhi becoming a gas chamber around this time of the year is like an annual ritual orchestrated by human indiscretions in different governments and a set of climatic conditions. Like Diwali, the smothering smog too comes every year, making lungs heave for oxygen. And just like every year, this year too, the government is using a lot of band-aids to cure the life-threatening injury. Schools have been shut down. There is a ban on certain kind of vehicles in Delhi. And then there are experiments with gimmicky odd even which fails to impress courts. Rain has brought some relief to the people of Delhi and NCR, but still the air quality remains in severe category in some regions. And breathing severe AQI air is equivalent to smoking around 25 to 30 cigarettes per day. But what can we do in a situation like this to somewhat strengthen ourselves against the toxic air and its impact? Let's find out from India's renowned healthcare expert, Dr. Naresh Trehan, who's Chairman and Managing Director of Medanta, a multi-super specialty hospital in Delhi, NCR. Firstly, how will you describe the situation in Delhi and NCR?
It's an unmitigated disaster for human beings. Because what we are doing is we are exposing ourselves, our elders and our children to the most violent environment you can find, because it affects in many ways. So if you look at it, there is the particulate matter which will affect your lungs more than other things. Then there are noxious gases which will affect the rest of your body. And more importantly, for the children, the nitrous dioxide is a poison because their brains and neurological systems are developing. So you're actually exposing to a very high toxic environment. So I think that this is a sad state, you can say, and it's very disturbing. And also it shows you that in spite of the fact that we know it's going to come every year, we have not been able to get ahead of it. Now, what does that say? It says that collectively we have not been able to work together to lick it, because we know why would anybody want to be exposed. This is a matter that it is an equalizer for society. Everybody is exposed, but the people who are privileged, they have a better protection. Because they can stay indoor, they have enough space, they can use the purifiers, the air purifiers, so that there are many ways for them to mitigate it to a degree. But then if you are living outside and you're not in that category, then you are really exposed 24/7. And when they talk about that, there are many studies done, they talk about that your age or your life will be shortened by several years if you are living in an environment like this. So that's also a fact. So, but the point is now that it is upon us what to do about it.
Dr. Trehan, before we talk about what can be done to really deal with it, I want to understand from you, how is the situation in hospitals? Have you seen a significant increase in the number of patients coming with respiratory issues?
So it affects every organ, by the way, but it affects the lungs the most because of the double whammy. One is the particulate matter, the 2.5, 1.0, SpO2 or SpO10. So all these get accumulated in the lung. They make any pre-existing lung condition much worse. And even the ones who don't have it and you're exposed for a prolonged period, you will get it. So that is the first target. But now there is evidence appearing that it affects the heart, the diabetics also get affected. So every organ actually is exposed to those toxins and will be, so especially people who have kidney failures and all that, they'll get worse. So I think that from that point of view, it is not sparing the body at any level. And your eyes start burning, you start getting headaches. So you know that the noxious gases are actually affecting the brain also. So I think from all points of view, It's a pan-body disease that is caused by this kind of exposure. Yes, lungs are the primary targets.
What can the prolonged exposure to this mean for the people?
So to complete my answer about the number of patients who are coming to the hospital with respiratory has become 3 times, by the way. That's the most alarming part of it. Okay, then you're saying how many cigarettes? So that it varies from where you are, whether you stay indoor or whether you're outside. If you're exposed outside, it's like almost 20 to 30 cigarettes a day. If you are at home and it's not purified, then it's about 11 cigarettes a day. And if you have purifiers and all that, then maybe you can mitigate the effect to a large degree. But you have to step out at some point. This is not going to go away quickly. So that's why the exposure but the point is it's the multiplier effect on people who are already suffering from, say, emphysema, asthma, ILD, what we call interstitial lung disease. All these people get affected very badly. And it starts accelerating. You'll see ILD, which is interstitial lung disease, I've seen only 2 days ago, I've seen a patient in 3 months it was doing fine. Suddenly, last 3 weeks, their nose died. So there is a lot of consequence for people, and it not to be taken lightly. We have gone blue in our face talking about it year on year. Some of it I would blame it on media also, that the alarm only comes when we are hit on the head. Everybody knows we are in trouble. You're not really saying anything. You're just saying you're suffering. The point is that throughout the year, unless we have a campaign, I don't think we will succeed. And I am surprised that the people don't agitate more. It's their children. It's they themselves. They're saying that it may shorten your life from 5 to 11 years. And these are not private studies. These are international WHO studies. So I'm saying that there is a seriousness to it. We should protect ourselves. Now, we might as well go down to that, is the sense. So masking, of course, will help a lot, especially if you're going out, do not go without a mask. Right? If you're going to be exposed to the environment, you please wear a mask. Especially so if you have any pre-existing lung problem or any other comorbidity. For people who have established lung disease, like asthma, like emphysema, like I said, ILD, they should not even venture out. Just try to stay home as much as possible. Stay hydrated. Eat healthy. Lot of greens, lot of vitamins. That's just to boost your immunity a little bit. And not to exercise too much, which will require heavy breathing and stuff like that, just for the periods when. So there are parts of the day which are better than other times. Like in the morning, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, is the worst because all the CO2 and everything is hanging in the air. The atmosphere is kind of sealed down. But as the sun comes up, if it does, the air rises because of the fact that as it warms up, the air rises. So then there is a new breeze comes in, and then the circulation of the environment improves. And then by evening again, it becomes static. It's like a gas chamber. So from late evening to early morning, you should be really not venturing out.
What about the children who are more vulnerable to the respiratory infections? How, in your opinion, can we protect them?
So as you know, that schools for the younger children have been closed for at least temporarily. And that is something that you should not expose, especially if there are schools which don't have any air protection. There are devices made by Indian scientists. I don't know the name, but I know there are in some schools they put it in, where the air is actually circulated and purified as it goes, and it's not expensive. So there are devices available now for schools, and if the schools will provide, then at least the kids can stay out indoor and not have outside activity like sports and stuff like that. So absolutely no vigorous sports outside. So you must tell your children to protect themselves, not to. And this is a matter of, I think, 2-3 weeks is the worst, and then hopefully it'll get better as we get a couple of weeks away from Diwali. And the second thing is that like I said already, that children should be kept indoor as much as possible, as are the elderlies. Keep them indoor, keep them well hydrated, and also if you have the ability to measure your AQI inside your house also, that will help to say how much, whether you need to wear a mask even inside the house if you're doing any activity. So I think that the more caution you take, depending on your AQI, the better it is. And if you can get some kind of air purification device, then it's much better, because then you can measure it that your AQIs are going down, the particulate matter especially can be absorbed, and very little you can do about the gases, the sulfuric, the nitric, the gases are still around, but they are more dangerous for very young kids than adults. So we may be able to cope with it. And if you know that we have in Delhi survived, and this whole area, I mean, you can imagine what's happening from stubble burning in Delhi. Imagine what's happening in stubble burning areas where it's being burnt. What's the effect on those people? So this is it actually defies logic right now, because every year we discuss about the happy harvester, and you can do this with the stubble, you can actually make it commercially viable, but nothing seemed to work. And why? I have no idea, but somebody should have that answer.
Dr. Trehan, this has virtually become an annual ritual, and like every year, this year also we are seeing knee-jerk reactions. Do you think this band-aid approach now needs to go, considering the impact this pollution is having on the people?
I think that the public also needs to get aware of the fact that we need to take care of ourselves. We need to be able to push for what we are going to leave for our children, our grandchildren. It's up to us. So as we are talking about the environment, we never really bothered about it till now, recently, when it's hit us on our head. Similarly, for pollution, we have not really bothered. And I think it's time that we take those measures on a continuous basis. And we should demand that our environment should be cleaned up. So I think those are the things we can do. And unfortunately, I have to go now. So, okay.
Thank you very much, Dr. Trehan, for speaking with us here on Jist.